the almost sick time I got.
Okay, this is the orientation.
What's coming up on this? That's it. Well, good evening, members of council, members of staff. Our acting fire chief, Mr. Don Gibbon, thanks for being here with us. I'd also like to welcome anybody that has joined into our public meeting here on October 6th in Stephenville, Newfoundland via electronic media outlets or platforms. And welcome. It is the fall of the year, my favorite time of the year. Just saying. Anyways, we have circulated either via electronic media or in print the copy of the agenda. I would ask the councillor to move that agenda be adopted.
I so
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder. Second, Councillor Tracy Boland. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, item number 2 is the public meeting of council that took place 2 weeks ago on September. Oh, no, that's not right. The council is September the 8th.
22nd.
22nd.
22nd. 20.
That would have been the 22nd, 2
Yeah.
weeks ago. So
This
there's
is
a
it.
typo there.
That's the same as the last one.
Let the clerk know that. We'll get a correction done on that. So it would be September 22nd. That was circulated by the town clerk for review. I would ask a member of council to move that those minutes be adopted.
I move.
Moved by Councillor Tracy Boland, second.
Second.
Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fowle, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Now, are there any matters arising from those minutes? See no matters arising. We will move on now to proclamations and delegations. So I have the great privilege today to read a proclamation and open up Fire Prevention Week. Before I get into that, I want to say that we are very, very grateful as a council and as a community to have a full-time hybrid fire department here in the town of Stephenville. Most municipalities of our size would not have that. But leadership in the past from councils and our councils going forward shows the importance of safety, of the importance of firefighters and all the professional abilities they bring with the job. One time it was mostly going to fight fires. And in the early days of Stephenville, let me tell you, there were a lot of fires. There was a lot of codes that didn't exist back in the 1940s and 50s. And there was a lot of tar that was on the roofs of buildings so they wouldn't leak. And there was a lot of fires back in the early days of Stephenville's history. But with good codes that exist with Government Service Center, with good training, with good work on fire prevention, and it happens in the school system, which I'm really glad to see. But you know, we must never waver to be focused on doing more and focus on the health and the safety of our community. But our citizens are very proud to be able to take a portion of their taxes to ensure that when an alarm goes or 911 calls made, we have people ready to move like that. So that's important. So I'm going to go ahead and read this proclamation. Whereas the town of Stephenville is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting our town. Whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire. Whereas smoke alarms sense smoke well before you can, alerting you to the danger in the event of fire, in which you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape safely. Whereas working smoke alarms cut the risks of dying in reported homes fires in half, 50%. And working smoke alarms are to be installed in every bedroom. And that's the key thing, that a lot of homes, and I'm sure if we went around, Don, there's many homes that probably don't have any smoke detectors.
You're correct.
And there's many homes that could be 3 levels and there might only be 1 smoke detector in 1 location. But a fire can happen for various reasons in any part of the home, especially electrical. Whereas the town of Stephenville residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. I have to say, before I move on, it was nice to speak about it. One time you couldn't have a house or an apartment without a second exit. But second exits now are considered a window of size for egress or regress and so forth. And in some ways, I think we've laxed and sometimes I think it's a cost-cutting measure for building codes. Maybe we'll take that up as another platform down the road to speak on. Whereas the town of Stephenville residents will make sure that their smoke and carbon monoxide alarms, CO2, meet the needs of all their family members, including those with sensory or physical disabilities. Whereas the town of Stephenville first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention, protection, and education. Whereas the town of Stephenville residents that are responsive to public education measures are better able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes. And whereas the 2022 Fire Prevention Week theme, Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape, I like it, effectively serves to remind the town of Stephenville residents that it is important to have a home fire escape plan. Therefore, I, Mayor Tom Rose, do hereby proclaim October 9th to the 15th, 2022 as Fire Prevention Week in the town of Stephenville, and I urge the residents of the town of Stephenville to plan and practice a home fire escape for the Fire Prevention Week of 2022 and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of the town of Stephenville Fire and Emergency Services. Signed this day, October 6, 2022. Mr. Gibbon, thank you very much, sir, for your leadership. We have the best of the best, don't we?
We don't do it all.
Thank you very
Thank you very much.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom.
Okay, so we're going to item number 5 now. It's the Finance Committee. I'm going to turn it over to the chair, Councilor Myra White. Do you want to take it away?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening and welcome, everyone. The item number 1 on our agenda is the water and sewer tax. Was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that water and sewer tax adjustments in the amount of $336.00 be approved. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder. Second, Councilor Lenny Tiller. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I just want to say before you move to the next one, Councilor Laura Aylward will not be attending tonight. She's in St. John's visiting family, but I'm sure she'll be back for the next public meeting.
Item number 2, business tax. It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that business tax adjustments in the amount of $1,529.85 be approved. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
I'll second.
Second, Councilor Tracy Boland. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item number 3, expense check listing, September 2022. It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that the expense check listing for September 2022 totaling $610,364.72 be approved. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Powell. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item number 4, a request for grant Harmon Seaside Links. It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that the town of Stephenville give a grant in the amount of $10,000 to Harmon Seaside Links to construct an inclusive washroom. An expense report must be submitted to the town on completion of the work. I so move.
Moved by Councilor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Deputy Mayor Susan, question.
Yeah, I just want to point out, because, this is one of the facilities that is owned by the town. And although it's run by a volunteer group, I think it's really important that any of the facilities that we own as a town, that we commit to ensuring that they are fully accessible so that anybody and everybody can participate. So that's, you know, where that expense, or that, you know, in case people wonder why we are paying, for the golf club, it's really, we are paying to upgrade our own facility. That's
Good points, no different than the YMCA.
right.
Maintenance upgrades. I think as asset management, as we roll forward too, is clearly having the data that's available to management, staff, council, identifying what do we own?
Yeah.
Often we know we had a lot of land that was transferred from Newfoundland under housing back in 2003 or 2001. You know, and it was a lot of land, various deeds, parcels all over the place. But, and I've said this many times that once we get maybe more staff and the ability with GIS and so forth, is we need to really be informed. Because as a council, part of our duty is to be informed. So the more informed we are, the more comfortable we can be. So when a question comes forward, so it's just like we have new council members now, and knowing that the golf course is actually owned by the town steel.
Yeah.
You know, it's important to know these things because it's easier for us to make decisions, right? So on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item number 5, approval to travel to Halifax, Nova Scotia in month.
Yeah, but she jumped to
Oh,
numbers.
approval to travel to Halifax, Nova Scotia and Moncton, New Brunswick. It's the recommendation of the Finance Committee that a mission to Halifax and Moncton for the 13th and the 14th of October 2022 to look at wood cluster development and wood bridges buildings involving Mike Ratter and Councillor Tristan Hewlin at an estimated cost of $2,200 be approved. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder.
I'll second
Second, Councillor Tracy Yulin. Any question?
Tracy Bowles.
Sorry.
Something you want to talk about? Something your wife would like to talk about?
Settle down.
I do, Susan, was the first to touch down.
Yeah. Okay, no question. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Item number 6, approval to travel to Lake City, South Carolina. It was the recommendation of the Finance Committee that Mayor Tom Rose and Marissa Abbott travel to Lake City, South Carolina to complete planning for a PBS television series involving arts, culture, music, and food. The mission will take place from the 17th to the 20th of October 2022 with the estimated cost of $7,500. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Myra White, seconder.
Second.
Second, Deputy Mayor Susan Fallow. Question? I'd just like to speak. This is something that's been in the works for about a year now. A production company out of St. John's is being sponsored, I believe, by Bell in conjunction with PBS Boston. And I'm a big watcher of PBS because there's a lot of history and whatnot. But here's an opportunity. We're probably the most Americanized town in the country of Canada because of the influence of the U.S. Air Force Base. Even our tourism theme, the friendly invasion, is part of our tourism strategy. It's been working very well. So what this will do there'll be PBS film team will do film shoot in Stephenville next June. And they'll look at the culinary arts, the musical talents of Newfoundland, and we get paired with Lake City, South Carolina. Lake City is a very artsy community also. It's been selected. This will happen at that scale, and that's paid for by PBS and all their sponsors. And as you all know, PBS is supported by philanthropists. So they will be sending people from the mayor of Lake City and delegations to Stephenville next year. This is our turn to go down there, meet them, create that common bond of culture, talent. But this gets broadcast in a 2-hour segment across the US. We would not be able to afford to buy the advertising what this is going to give us. So this is about making good business sound marketing decisions to benefit the people, the citizens in this province and country. But, you know, Stephenville already is on the world's map, but we will definitely be on the US map with PBS because it's well followed. So this is a good initiative, and it's getting busy for us, no doubt, with all the travel we've been doing. But you have to spend money sometimes to make money or get return on investment. And networking, business transactions, getting on the world stage, it's hard to put a price tag on it. So on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Contramine?
Aye.
Favor? Yeah.
Or contra mine just because of the misunderstanding, that's all.
Okay. Yeah. So what's the misunderstanding?
Misunderstanding is what we talked about before we went on there. I thought this was 100% funded by PBS, and it wasn't until I got here tonight I understood that. So just for full transparency and my own comfort level, I'm going to say no based on that, as I went in with a misunderstanding.
The only thing I just want to clarify though, but at the finance meeting discussed it, and it was a recommendation of finance committee that you're part of.
That's fair, Mr. Mayor, but I do have the right as an individual councillor to a freedom of vote and freedom of choice. And as I just said, when I was in that finance meeting Tuesday, I was under the impression that it was 100% covered. I've learned here tonight that it's not. And for full transparency and a lack of understanding on what it was, I'm going to contribute.
Okay, so.
Can I just,
Go ahead.
can I speak? So the only thing I have is if you're voting no, you're voting no to the motion, right?
Correct.
Okay, because it sounds like you're voting no because you didn't understand it or for transparency, but there's yes or no is transparency. I mean, what you're voting no on the motion, right?
I was once told that if I say nothing and vote no, I'm not being transparent. So tonight I'm saying something and voting no to be transparent.
Okay, all right. But it's just, yeah, but what I'm saying is how it's coming across is to be transparent, I'm going to vote no. That's how it's coming across to me, but you're voting no on the motion because you do not believe we should spend $7,500 for people to go there.
Correct.
Okay, that's it.
So-
All right, that's all I want.
That's it's nice to get that clarity. So we got 5 yay and 1 contra mine. Noted, Mr. Manager? Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much. Okay, is there anything late for finance?
No, there is not.
Nothing. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to ask Tristan. Councillor Tristan Hewlin,
Sure.
would you take over the chair of Planning and Traffic Committee in
Absolutely.
the absence of Councillor Laura Aylward?
There's only a short agenda tonight anyway, so that's not so bad. So for planning and traffic, we've got 3 items. So item A, 2 Iowa Drive, none. Request for a permit to excavate 6 test pits to collect and examine geotechnical data for site development on the property located at 2 Iowa Drive. It was the recommendation of the Planning and Traffic Committee that this request for a permit be approved, subject to compliance with all town regulations. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Tristan Hewlin, I'll second. I had myself here. I need a second.
All in second.
All in second. Okay, singular in second. Councillor Tracy Boland. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
B, 2 Iowa Drive, agreement Town of Stephenville and non. Request to sign an agreement to facilitate a transfer of land to enable the construction of a transition house and a cultural healing and wellness center. It was the recommendation of the Planning and Traffic Committee to enter into an agreement with the Newfoundland Aboriginal Women's Network for the transfer of land to enable the construction of a transition house and a cultural healing and wellness center. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Tristan Hewlin, seconded.
Second.
Second, Councillor Myroway. I'd just like to speak on how I think this is such a great move on council to be supporting the initiative for a wellness center, a healing center. As we all know, mental health is, has escalated for a variety of reasons. I think COVID has actually increased mental health across this country, maybe in the world. And with NOM having them headquartered in Stephenville, there's been a lot of good leadership with this organization. They're well represented. We did receive, when we transfer non-for-profits or something less than market value, we can make a recommendation, but we must always vet it through the Minister of Municipal Affairs. And thanks to our manager, he consulted, had the paperwork come in from Minister Howell on that, because they know the importance of it also. You know, so it's great leadership. Often we have so many roles to play as a council. You know, and the core ones are, you know, paving streets and fixing potholes and making people have good water and good fire protection and safety and recreation. But it's so broad now, our responsibilities from a social perspective, whether it's affordable housing, transition housing, wellness centers, partnering, recruiting doctors. Really not our role and responsibility, but if we didn't step forward, we probably wouldn't have the 4 doctors that we recruited here now, because there is a healthcare crisis out there. And we've stemmed the tide to some degree. We still got some work to do. But it just goes to show that this council's got great leadership on files that are important. So on that note, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
And the final item for tonight on the planning and traffic, Sisters in Spirit Vigil, NOM. Request for permission to host silent march and vigil on Tuesday, October 4th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. starting at Blanchbrook Park onto Carolina Avenue, Main Street to Provincial, and ending at the Lions Club. I so move.
Moved by Councillor Tristan Newman, second. Second, Councillor Renee Tiller, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Anything late, Mr. Newman?
Not to my knowledge, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Manager.
I can see.
Okay, so let's move on to, we have nothing for bylaws and regulations. I've said that for 6 years now.
Yeah,
It's
gonna change soon, though.
I'm starting to get embarrassed.
it's gonna change soon.
It's gonna
We're working
change
on
soon.
that, right?
Gotta get some bylaws.
We're gonna come in with a lot of that soon.
Okay, any unfinished business?
Are we talking, did you, notification came in today for our anesthesiologist? With an email,
I didn't see the
Dr.
email.
Rashmi?
Oh, yeah, that was yesterday's email. That was just,
Oh, that's just
To
saying
let
that
us know
the
that
one
it's
that was
been-
off was just returned. It's
Yeah.
nothing.
it's not new. It's not a new person.
Yeah, and we're still without a surgeon right now. They're telling us that there's a surgeon who wants to come here permanently. They got a locum that's coming in January. We only have 1 anesthetist. We're supposed to have 2. Dr. Cressy, I presume, is still here with his team. So even though we've had success on the family physicians and nurse practitioners, we have been doing some work on getting a surgeon, but Western Health hasn't delivered yet. And they need to deliver. You know, that's the key message, right? So. Okay, any new business?
Well, Counselor White and I attended the Sisters in Spirit vigil and walk for murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. And once again, that was a very kind of powerful experience. One of the attendance was a little lower than usual, which I found interesting, but one of the things that was noticeable in the gathering, once we got to the Lions Club, was the absence of men. And so, you know, when we look at violence against women and children, about 98% of it is perpetuated by males, and most of that is by men who are known to them too. So that's, and so I think it's critically important that men become part of the solution. And so I would encourage, and not only that, but when we talk about violence and we talk about different marches like Take Back the Night and stuff, those are marches where men are asked not to participate in the actual walk. So there's not a lot of opportunity in the anti-violence movement for men to really participate, but when there are opportunities, I would encourage more men and particularly even the men of our council to really think about trying to attend that, to show, you know, where we are. But I certainly, but I brought greetings on behalf of the town, certainly spoke to the fact that as a council, we're very committed to creating a community that's as diverse as possible and is as safe as possible. So, but to the men on council, if you get an opportunity to take part in something like that, I think it would go a long way to showing women that men don't want them to solve the problem for them, but want to be part of the solution. So,
Your support.
yeah, absolutely.
Very good point. And having said that, I will try to attend the next,
Yeah.
because I haven't been on one of your walks.
No, and it's eye-opening.
Well, I will put a reminder on my calendar for next year for you.
Yes, will you do that for me?
I was training at search and rescue this year, so
Yeah, yeah. And this is not to shame anyone. It's just, sometimes I think men think, oh, the women are doing their thing. But, you know, what women already know is that we can't fix this until we're all involved. Every person, not just women or not just, I mean, every missing and murdered woman is somebody's daughter. They have a father, they have a brother, they have an uncle. So it has to be everybody's issue.
Yeah. Okay, I'd like to speak on our recent trip to Hamburg, Germany with the Women Energy Conference. This conference normally would take place every year. It's this year, it was a very significant and large wind energy conference. But since COVID, it was shut down. So this is the first year it came back. Very significant, as we well know, Europe is far beyond North America when it comes to alternative energies, wind energies, and so forth. So we had opened it up to all council who were available, but 3 councilors and our manager attended, and we stayed very safe and we represented our town very well, and we got to meet some really good people. But a key highlight was that we were able to work the trade show booth with World Energy GH2 and our partners, in particular DOB out of the Netherlands. The pivotal moment, there was a couple, was where we had approved for the signing, and actually the signing took place in Germany, in Hamburg. At the conference, I signed, Brendan Paddock signed on behalf of John Risley, and we had Minister Crocker there, who was acting for the Premier, who had to return to Newfoundland because of the hurricane damage, in particular on the southwest coast. But we got significant media because we're an Indigenous registered town under the Indian Act. I took my regalia jacket, as I'm in status Indian in the federal government, and the media we got with that signing, once again, I know a little bit about marketing and business, you would not be able to buy it. One in particular gentleman came by who's a business person in an engineering company in Germany, worked for Abitibi Price 20-something years ago. And he had said that he was instrumental in shipping the first roll of newsprint from Stephenville to Hamburg. So here we are now, getting ready to ship green hydrogen to Germany. And sometimes we don't understand how significant that World Summit that took place in Stephenville, Newfoundland with the German Chancellor and the Prime Minister. Germany is in an energy crisis. There's people having to cut firewood this winter to stay warm that they never have had to do it because their dependency on energy from Russia is over. And as a G7 country, we're stepping in and we're playing a pivotal, critical role as a municipality on the world stage. So the world's attention is on Stephenville because of the announcement in the summer. So we could not be in a better place when it comes to growing a community, attracting tertiary companies, and having the ability to market our strengths because we have a lot of strengths. Canada, Newfoundland, or Stephenville. And one of the best weather records east of Montreal. We have international airports and ports that touch each other. There's only 5 places in the world. Seattle, Washington is the closest to us. But the biggest checkbox we have is the wind corridor. So when you talk about a project of $12 billion, how long is it going to take to monetize and get your return on the investment? Well, if you got the best wind corridor, it's going to happen faster in Stephenville than if you were going to do it somewhere else. So there's a reason Stephenville was selected. There's a reason the German Chancellor and the Prime Minister came here. And then just today, World Energy GH2, who has spent millions of dollars to date on this project, research, partnering, travel, they announced that they're going to have a green vibrancy sustainability community fund. It's going to really benefit the town of Stephenville, every community on the Port-au-Port Peninsula, in the Bay St. George, into Three Rivers towards Robinsons, which are the 3 sites allocated for development. It's $10 million starting in April of 2023. Our share contribution will be $3.3 million. That's added revenue to the budget of our municipality that we can look, and we will have to engage, do some public engagement, maybe talk about where do we want to spend that money. And I think we should be balanced. It should be spent on infrastructure, children, recreation, seniors, a whole balance, the ecosystem, our environment. We must take care of everything. So it just goes to show the commitment of a company. This company's not going to make any money until 2025, 2026. But instead of waiting to start helping communities, they're out of the gate now. And many of the communities on the Port-au-Port Peninsula don't have any revenue. If they're a local service district, they have no taxation. So having money coming into the coffers of these local service districts, it could really benefit the citizens of those towns. So I'm really pleased. It shows character, commitment. It shows a company that's into philanthropy, in a sense. And it shows a company that I'm just very proud that our council has entered into an MOU with, because they seem to be the company that's the right fit, the DNA of our town and people. Any other new business?
I forgot this actually. It's been a long couple of weeks. I want to thank the fire department and Colin for all their hard work during the hurricane. My neighbor, where we live on St. George's Avenue, we're faced with these old plots where there's the 2 houses on St. George's and then 2 houses directly behind us. And for years, there was these great big trees that we always worried about. Nothing ever happened. Well, that day I looked and saw a fence rose up and didn't realize what was happening. One tree was leaning on the other. And when the fire department got there along with Tristan and our manager, they said, "You guys are gonna have to leave because we can't tell." And at that point, the wind was just kind of swirling around and was smacking us everywhere. They said, "We can usually tell where it's gonna go. Right now, we don't know. The 2 of you guys have to leave." Our neighbor got out, unfortunately he did, because by the time we packed up and got out, the trees were after falling on his house.
Wow.
So I'd like to really thank the fire department and Colin and Tristan for being there that day. And I know my neighbor, he won't say it because he's really shy, but he thanks you guys from the bottom of his heart as well. He had very minimal damage. And what saved him was an East Link cable line, took the weight of the trees. When the tree came down, we're talking these really old cable line.
Yep,
Took the weight of all the trees and just kind of fluffed it
Laid
down
them
to his
down.
house. So I really want to make sure I say that publicly as well.
Wicked.
Thank you.
That there was minimal damage.
yeah, and I think, to further that, Lenny, I think, our, town staff and fire department, search and rescue, everybody was on the job and, did a phenomenal job of, being on top of things. We were very lucky that we
Yes.
didn't have a whole lot more damage because we only had some trees down and the incident on your street was probably the other one, but it could have been a whole lot worse. But our staff, I think, were ready for it and were ready to handle whatever came. So that's very comforting, I think, for,
Public Works
First-
definitely did a lot of preparation,
Yeah.
anticipation of that. And it seemed to really mitigate a lot of their workload for that day.
yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely great on Public Works part as well, because
It goes to them for
they
sure.
were on the move.
Yeah,
And it's also great leadership from management and public works. How we send
Yes.
equipment and person power to Port Bass to help neighboring community.
Yeah.
And you don't, when an emergency happens, you step forward.
Yeah.
And you do what you can for a neighbor. But it's serious and when you think about it, we were in Hamburg for that very reason, hurricanes. It was global warming.
yeah,
And that's why there's a transition that has to happen. And that's the most severe hurricane I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. I've never seen sustained winds for 3 to 4 hours over 100 kilometers an hour in Stevensville ever. It's unprecedented for Atlantic Canada. And it just goes to show why the world has to set targets for 2050.
Yeah.
And environmentalists, I was thinking the other day, you know who should be the next round of politicians? Meteorologists. Why not? If they want to.
yeah.
Ask them to step forward. I wonder if there are any meteorologists listening today online.
Pretty sure.
Any sure.
No doubt, Carl.
That's enough for any share. Or Ashley from CBC.
Yeah.
Let's get them encouraged.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Any other
Also-
business?
Well, also, Tracy just reminded me, Councillor Boland, that we did have the grand opening while last Saturday of the,
How'd it go?
Good.
of the playground. And it was very well attended. There have been, I walk in the park every day and there hasn't been a day that the playground has not been full. And
Amazing.
peals and squeals and lots of excitement and a few tears yesterday when a little fella had to leave. He was crying pretty hard and he was flopped on the ground. But anyway, and of course, the usual concerns around people who are, using the facility and sometimes maybe littering or, smoking and dropping their butts and so on. So we would just encourage everyone and remind everyone that playground belongs to all of us. It's a community playground. And so there's no one owner that should be responsible for it. Every single one of us needs to be responsible. So if you see someone spitting their gum on the blue stuff or doubting their cigarette in there, you might just kindly remind them that there's other places they can put that or, but just kind of encourage one another. And as a community, I think we keep that place wonderful and safe.
Wonderful. Yeah. It's so nice to see, especially when it first started, rain or shine, didn't matter.
Doesn't matter still. There's little roofs there, so they're there.
Okay, any other business before I call for a motion to adjourn? No? Okay, I want to thank everybody for being here for our public meeting today. Also, anybody that has logged on. Not sure if I can see the numbers up there. 6 attendees. We got 6 attendees.
Was seven.
There was 7 for a
There
while.
was 7. Okay, so I would ask the member of council move that we adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Tracy Bowman, second. Second, Councilor Meyer White, all in
Just thought
favor.
you were seconding, I was gonna say, you can't do that. Okay.
Okay, the motion accepted, carried, voted on. Everybody wants to go home?
No,
We
We
have
have one more
something
thing
to
to talk.
discuss.
Susan wanted.
after the
Okay,
meeting.
yeah, okay, we'll wait till, you wanna